Where are you going?
To wash up. I've got to look normal. We've all of us got to behave normally. Ha! Monsters!
Excellent shot.
This is the 20th century, Kemp. Monsters are passé, like ghosts and goblins.
Not to the good people of this village, Herr Doctor. To them, he is a very real thing. Especially one. There is a Frankenstein residing in this house.
Nice grouping.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm filming from whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Didn't hurt me. No, no, no. How's that? Kate Bush back in the charts. Oh, I loved her very much. Oh. Hello everyone, how you going? My name's Chris Quinlan. Welcome to Melbourne Musos Facebook Live. Hey, got a bit of a show. Hey, all the ethereal music. Oh, Kate Bush is back at #1. Hey, I was teaching this lesson just the other week to my poppets. I said, there was this lady in the 1980s. She's very beautiful, beautiful. Ooh, late 70s. Ooh. And in the mid 80s, she put out Hounds of Love. And, oh, what a beat. Whoop, whoop, whoop. You didn't hurt me. No, no, no. Oh, you didn't hurt me. Oh. That's what goes on. So what I'm doing tonight is a homage to Kate and all her business, and I'm going to do Semiquaver groupings. Nice grouping.
Nice grouping.
Young Frankenstone, 1974. So what goes on? I'm going to talk about note groupings. Okay, so what goes on is that when you're dealing with, say, a time signature, I'll get stuck straight into it. I got a few things. I got a little story tonight. But I've got to do this first. And what happens is you've got semi-quaver groupings. Okay, you've got lots of groupings out there. Nice grouping.
Nice grouping.
But what happens is that one of the things I'll just concentrate on is semiquavers. Okay. 16th notes. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4. That's orchestral percussion patches. There you go. So you're getting all these different things. So what happens is when you're dealing with a time signature, let's say you've got 4/4. Okay, so what you've got is you can play anything you like in the bar as long as it adds up to 4 quarter notes. Okay, so it's a little bit, I said it last week, continuity. You've got, think of it like 4 1-litre containers if you wish. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the subdivision. Now when you're talking about semiquavers, you need 4 of them to make up 1 crotchet beat. Now the reason why they're called 16th notes is because 16 of them make up 1 full bar that's in common time, which is 4/4. That's what happens, you see. But what we have is 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. All right, I'll come back to that joke in a bit. But what we've got now is how do you break them up? And what happens is when you're looking at for those who maybe want to try to start to learn to read music and all that, what happens is the first daunting thing is you open up any kind of book, and next thing you see is a sea of little black dots, you see. And what happens is that they make no sense. It's a little bit like those exercises that we used to have in school where you would get a paragraph of words and you would have to punctuate it to make it, sound or make it read sensical rather than nonsensical, if you know what I mean. Sort of thing. So, what is this thing called love? What's this thing called love? Why don't you trade it in on a car? Oldie but goodie. I won't work blue. But what happens is, which I already have. You did, Chris, you did. Oh well. But what happens is that when you're dealing with the little black dots and you're dealing with semiquavers, what happens is that the time signature links into the notes. And what happens then is that not only do you have notes, you have their corresponding rests. Okay. Now, what happens with these groupings is that if you take the humble crotchet with one beat, and then just for the sake of this exercise, convert that to one semiquaver, and then 3 semiquaver rests, you'll get 1 E and a, 2 E and a. So if we put it with our glorious 4 on the floor, hi-hat 2 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So you get, there you go. That's pretty simple so far, but now I'm going to take it for a bit of a spin. What happens if you put that note now on E? 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. What happens is that you have to put a semiquaver rest on 1, and now that crotchet is no longer a crotchet because what you have is you only have E and an R. So it has to be what we call a dotted quaver. Okay, a dot placed on the end of a note increases the note by half its value. So therefore, if you've got a quaver worth 2 semiquavers, okay, you add another one on, increase by half its value. Half of 2 is 1, add 2 together, you get 3. Boom. So you're using your basic maths from the early grades. And so what you've got is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and. There you go. Then you can have it on the end. So what happens is you can have rest, rest, note, rest, you see. So what you have is 1 E and a. So 1 E and a, 2 E and a. So on it goes. Then the last one is on the ah. You see, so 1 E and ah. So you go 1 E and ah, 2 E and ah, 3 E and 4 E and ah, 3 E and. So your bass drum 4 on the floor is reference. I'm adding the 2 and the 4 because you have to. So on it goes. Now that little row was every possibility of 1 note and 3 rests. Okay, so I'll do the rest in quick, smart fashion, you see. I think you're hopefully getting the idea of it, groupings, you see. So what you have now is 2s. So you get 2 notes, 2 rests out of the 1 E and a, the 4 possibles of a semiquaver. So you can start with 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. 2 and 2. And then you have move it along 1, so you get 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, so on. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1. There you go with that one. And then the straggler is 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4. That's often thought, you can actually play that kind of in a Latin kind of. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 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 1. Not that you see. And you can have 3 notes and 1 rest now is what you can have. So you can have 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. So it's two semiquavers and a quaver. Makes up one beat. There you go. And then you can push that one along. You go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. There you go with that one, you see. You rest on the 1 and then E and A. There you go. B. Then you have, the popular one right now, boys and girls. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a Whoop. That's it. That's the Kate Bush beat. Running up the Jack and Jill. Rolling down the Frog and Toad. Running up the Jack and Jill. Running on the Frog and Toad. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Did it hurt me? Ah! That's it. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. That's it. That's the beat. You see, I'm going to get to what we do with them in just a second. I've already sort of done it, but I just wanted to get that out of the way. Then we have the straggler for that one, which is 1 E and A. So you have note, note, rest, note. Remember, we're doing 3 notes and 1 rest combinations for 1 beat. Semiquaver groupings tonight. It's quite topical because of the bush. Oh, she's beautiful. Oh. Both me and my ex-wife had quite the crush on her. Every album. Oh, if there was going to everything was quite amicable, right? The only time we had nearly a custody case was for the Kate Bush collection. Yeah, I want that one. Oh, you have it. I'll buy another one. There it is there. Marie, if you're out there, oh, I love you very much. There you go. Let's move right along quickly. So what we have then is that. And then you got the straggler. I think I mentioned. Did I mention it? I did. I'll do it again. Banana, 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 banana. Okay. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a banana, 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 banana. All right. There you go. Then you have the stragglers, more stragglers. You have essentially, if you're thinking semiquavers, you have a semiquaver, then a semiquaver rest, semiquaver, semiquaver rest. In essence, you're just playing quavers. 1 and 2 and, what am I doing? Yes, 1 and 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. Oh, there you go there. You see, that's what goes on. Then you have the 1 E and a 2 E and a. Ooh, bit off beat there. Ooh, bit of a coordinational nightmare there. Anyway, there you go. Then you got all of them. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E, all notes. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1. Then you can have all rests. Reminds me of John Cage, 4:33, 4 minutes 33 of silence. There you go. I did that once on the show. I really did. I did it because I was doing a thing on all the composers. And I did a thing on John Cage. And I said, this is his famous one, 4 minutes 33 of silence, you see. I said at the time, I thought it did him a disservice because it made everybody think he was a bit of a crackpot. But he was actually proving a point. And his other music was beautiful and ethereal and percussive. He just loved drummers. And the thing about prepared piano with John Cage as a sidelight, he didn't get the funding. He didn't get his minimum fee, mate. Anyway, so what happened is he came up with this idea of putting tacks and nails and all sorts of things in the piano to make it all percussive. You see, so that's... Wait. Be quick. Here you go. that was my John Cage doing a version of Running Up the Hill to John Cage's house. Anyway. So I was telling you the story about Channel 31 way back in the day, back around about 2011, I think. I mean, I was doing this thing, and I was doing 4 minutes 33, and he was proving a point about even if you just sit on a park bench and just, like that, it can be music to your ears depending on what you've got, and you just hear everything, you know, like sound recordings, you know, like field recordings, you know, that kind of thing. Sound recording, field recordings is what I meant to say. And you get that. Anyway, Channel 31, at the time, it was a bit of a dark time for Channel 31, to be honest with you at the time, but said, we can't put it on. I said, how come? It's John Cage. That's what the show's about composers. You know, there's first segment about all these percussion, second segment about this, you know, improvisation and numbers and all sorts of things. And then the third one is his famous piece, 433. You know, everybody does it. Even the MSO have done it, you know, with giggles and everything in between and nervous coughs and the phones going off, you know, all that kind of thing. Said, well, Chris, we can't put it on TV because if there's silence on television for more than 18 seconds, our alarms go off. So much for the serenity. And what happens is they put a warning. So there I am going like that, you know, hamming it up as I usually do. There's this warning, you know, warning to viewers, this is silence. God help me. And I thought, that says a lot. That sums the John Cage piece up no end. Okay, so there you go. And that comes down to when you're doing semiquaver groupings and it's all rests, you see, just nothing, you see. So I've done the 4 possibilities. 1 note, 3 rests, 2 notes, 2 rests, 3 notes, 1 rest, and then stragglers. Note rest, rest note, all notes, all rests. And all rests got me into a little bit of John Cage. Go look him up, he's fantastic. Don't do the 433, no worries. But then go to his other stuff, and it's wonderful. It's ethereal. Oh, it's very nice. I like it. Now, the reason I'm talking about this biz is because of... Whoop, whoop, whoop. There you go. Now, what happens, you can take any one of those semiquaver groupings and put them where you like, you see. Now, normally what would happen is I'm just turning around like that, and I could have... So on it goes like that. But what could happen is that you could do it. You can play your semiquaver groupings with one hand, and I'm doing it on the old tom. And then what happens is in the background you've got your backbeat. You see, so, there you go. Now to finish this little section off, I just did a quick improvisation there. And then what happens is that what you can start to do is when you have the time signature of 4/4, you can put 4 of those modules in if you like, do you see, depending on the kind of figure that you want, do you see. So rather than, as I said, if I'm going back to the beginning of tonight's Face Chookeries, what happens is when you first look, if you're aspiring to learn to read music and you open up a page and go, oh my Lord, what's all these black dots? Oh boy. But as soon as you start to see that those dots, if you think of it like an alphabet, because music is a language in and of itself, is that they're the letters. That's your alphabet. And then you put the letters into words, and this is where we're up to. Then we have our little tiny phrases like diddle-it, 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 or dun-da-da-dun, da-da-dun, da-da-dun, or da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da, whatever, banana, banana, banana. And there you go. And what happens then is you can put those 4 bits into each compartment of the time signature. Okay, and that's what, if you're doing it with 4/4, I've got one in my book here. This is 1E and 2E and 3 and a 4. So. Now, I'm not reading a whole bunch of notes. I'm just reading 4 units. You see, 4 little groups. If it's in 5/4, I'm reading 5 groups. So I've got one there too. Oh, what have I got there? Yeah. There it is there, that's 5/4. 5, and I sort of did a polymeter there because I kept to the 1, 2, 3, 4. What was that? All right, so there you go. That's Semiquaver Groupings. Nice grouping.
Nice grouping.
Young Frankenstone, 1974. This is the first pass, and what I'm going to do, of course, is go to work and give you the 3-camera shoot. Hello, camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. Mwah, and there you go. This is a little short bit on Semiquaver Groupings. I also managed to put in a bit of Kate Bush and John Cage. I do believe in a minimum fee, and so does Winnie the Pooh. And tonight's special guest is a little story. I haven't, I've pulled out a few of them, I suppose, but I'm going to finish off with this. And Fractured Fairy Tales. I hope you're watching Impromptu TV on Channel 31, which was all made during our lockdowns 1 to 6. We had good times, bad times, in between times. We had spoken word from beautiful people only talking into their phones and then asked me to do things with them. And that's what happens, you see. You're stuck together. And that's Impromptu TV, straight after Melbourne Musos on Wednesdays. Now at the new time of 10:30, Impromptu TV is at 11. Okay, there's also repeated after you get poured out of the Uber at 3 o'clock in the morning and 3:30 on a Sunday morning, Saturday night. There you go. But anyway, big new things. So, Fractured Fairy Tales end up on them. Butchered children's stories. But anyway, what I've got here it is, and we're off. All right.
Chapter 2, in which Pooh goes visiting and gets into a tight place. Edward Bear, known to his friends as Winnie the Pooh, or Pooh for short, was walking through the forest of Melbourne one day, humming proudly to himself. He had made up a little hum that very morning as he was doing his stoutness exercises in front of the glass. Love me or leave me, make your choice, but believe me, I love you. I do. That's what he was singing.
He was.
And as he stretched up high as he could go, and then, I do, oh help, as he tried to touch his toes. After breakfast, he had said it over and over to himself until he had learnt it off by heart, and now he was humming it right through properly. It went like this. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Love me or leave me, make your choice, but believe me, I love you. I do. Yeah. Well, he was humming this hum to himself and walking gaily along, wondering what everybody else was doing and what it felt like being somebody else, when suddenly he came to a sandy bank, and in that bank was a large door-take hole. Aha, said Pooh. I do. If I know anything about anything, that door-take hole means our gig on Saturday night. And gigs on Saturday night means company, he said. And company means 1 free beer and paying to play, and such like. I do, he said to himself. So he bent down, put his head into the door-take hole, and called out, Is anybody at home? There was a sudden scuffling noise from inside the hole, and then silence. What I said was, Is anybody at home? Called out Pooh very loudly. No, said a voice, and then added, You needn't shout so loud. I heard you quite well the first time. Bother, said Pooh. Isn't there anybody here at all? Nobody. Winnie the Pooh took his head out of the door-take hole and thought for a little, and he thought to himself, there must be somebody there, because somebody must have said, Nobody. So he put his head back in the hole, the door-take hole, and said, Hello, venue operator. Are you charging the minimum fee? No, said the venue operator. No, said the venue operator in a different sort of voice this time. But isn't that the door-take venue operator's voice? I don't think so, said the venue operator. It isn't meant to be. Oh, said Pooh. He took his head out of the hole, the door-take hole, and had another think. And then he put it back and said, Well, could you very kindly tell me where the venue operator is? He's gone to see his friend Pooh Bear, who was a great friend of his. But this is me, said Bear, very much surprised. What sort of me? Pooh Bear! Are you sure? Said the venue operator, still more surprised. Quite sure, said Pooh. Oh, well then, come in. So Pooh pushed his way through the hole, the door-take hole, and at last he got in. You were quite right, said Rabbit, looking at him all over. It is you! Glad to see you! Who do you think it was? Well, I wasn't sure. You know how it is in the door-take forest of Melbourne. One can't have anybody come into one's gig. One has to be careful. What about a mouthful of something? Pooh always liked the little something at 11 o'clock at night, and he was very glad to see the venue operator getting out the plates and mugs. And when the door-take venue operator said, Honey, or condensed milk with your free beer, he was so excited that he said, Both! And then, so as not to seem greedy, he added, But that's all right, you can take it out of my door-take, along with the sound guys, 250 minimum. But don't bother about the bread, please. And for a long time after that, he said nothing, until at last, humming to himself in a rather sticky voice, he got up, shook the venue operator lovingly by the paw, and said that he must be going on. Must you? Said the venue operator politely. Well, said Pooh, I could stay a little longer if you gave me the $250 minimum fee. that my friend Tony Burke, the Minister of Arts, said, I do! He agreed to. And he tried very hard to look in the direction of the larder.
As a matter of fact,
said the venue operator,
I was going out myself directly.
oh well then, I'll be going on. Goodbye.
Wow, goodbye, if you're sure you won't have any more.
Is there any more? Asked Pooh quickly. The venue operator took the covers off the dishes and said,
No, there wasn't. It's all just a door take. The whole band just gets petrol money each.
I thought not, said Pooh, nodding to himself. Well, goodbye. I must be going on and finding a venue that gives a minimum fee and does the right thing by the musicians.
Right thing.
So he started to climb out of the hall. He pulled with his front paws and pushed with his back paws, and in a little while his nose was out in the open again, and then his ears, and then his front paws, and then his shoulders, and then... Oh shit, said Pooh. I'd better go back to my door-take venue. Oh, bother, said Pooh. I shall have to go on. What shall I do? Shall I do the door-take, or shall I ask for my minimum fee? I can't do either, said Pooh. Oh, help and bother. Now, by this time, the venue operator wanted to go for a walk too, and finding the front door full, he went out by the back door. That's the place where he went when the tax officer comes. He goes out by the back door. Cooking the books, mate! Cook, mate! Cook! And came round to Pooh and looked at him.
Hello? Are you stuck? He asked.
No, said Pooh carelessly, just resting and thinking and humming to myself about the minimum fee, and the door take, and the sound guy, and all the people who flogged my shared drum kit.
Here, give us a paw.
And the venue operator pulled and pulled and pulled, and cooked and cooked and cooked. Ow, you're hurting me, venue operator, said Pooh. You're hurting me with your expectations for me to play for free and pay to play, and your expectation for me to show up with all the equipment and you don't have to pay for a thing, and for all of that you just give me one free beer. Oh, it's cooked, mate, cooked!
Alright, you've made your point. I get it. I'm going off and getting some help from Tony Burke, the Minister of the Arts. Stay where you are!
Tony Burke, Minister of the Arts, lived at the other end of the Melbourne forest. And when he came back with the venue operator and saw the front half of Pooh, he said, Silly old bear, in such a loving voice that everyone felt quite hopeful again. I was just beginning to think, said Bear, sniffing slightly, that the venue operator might never be able to give us a minimum fee and never be able to use his front door again because he would always be going out the back door to avoid the tax inspector. And I should hate that, he said. I should hate it.
So should I,
said the venue operator. Use his front door again, said Tony Burke, Minister of the Arts. Of course he'll use his front door again.
Good!
If we
Can't pull you out, Pooh. We might push you back into the door takes.
The venue operator scratched his whiskers thoughtfully and pointed out that when once Pooh was pushed back, he was back.
You'll always be doing door takes. It's just the way it's always been.
You mean I'll never get out of this door take wasteland?
We've been using that same business model for 2 centuries now.
Just at that moment, Tony Burke, Minister of the Arts, walked in and heard what was going on. The venue operator turned around, took his cooked books that he got all the venue grants from, and pissed off. Tony Burke, Minister of the Arts, looked things over and then said to Pooh, Pooh, you're between a rock and a hard place. Things are changing, and they're changing for the good. Bear began to sigh and then found he couldn't because he was so tightly stuck, and a tear rolled down his eyes, and he said, Then would you read your latest tax return, venue operator, such as would help and comfort a wedged bear in great tightness between a rock and a hard place of door take gigs and minimum fees. So for a week, Tony Burke, Minister of the Arts, read that sort of book at the north end of Pooh, and the venue operator hung shit on his drum set and got all his mates to flog it on the south end. And in between, Bear felt himself getting slenderer and slenderer. And at the end of the week, Tony Burke, Minister of the Arts, said, "Now!" So he took hold of Pooh's front doors, and the venue operator took hold of Tony Burke, Minister of the Arts. And all the venue operator's friends who had been flogging Pooh's shared drum and relations took hold of the venue operator. They all took hold of each other. And they all pulled together. And for a long time, Pooh only said, and then all of a sudden he said, "Pop!" just as if a cork were coming out of his bottle of beer that was on the door take rider.
That's right.
The single bottle of beer.
I did that better.
And Tony Burke, Minister of the Arts, and the venue operator, and all the venue operator's friends and relations went head over heel backwards and pushed over poor Winnie the Pooh's shared flogged drum kit. And on top of them came Winnie the Pooh. He was free! He was used to, because he always played for free. But this time he was free. And with a nod of thanks to the venue operator and Tony Burke, the Minister of the Arts, they all walked together with all their friends through the Melbourne forest, all singing.
Minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Mr. Minister, do you support the idea of a minimum fee?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Love me or leave me, make your choice. But believe me, I love you. I do.
Thank you!
Love me or leave me, make your choice.
Sing
But
along!
believe me, I love you. I do. Love me or leave me, make your choice. But believe me, I love you. I do. Yeah! The end.